This character has a massive potential for damage. This is the first character I've seen in this game who gets an absolutely insane, astronomical amount of damage bonus from her kit alone. Pair her up with the right supports to enable her game plan, and she's going to tear through this game. Xueyi is going to be a quantum destruction character, and her kit is by far one of the most unique and interesting ones in the game. I may have said this about Blade, but seriously, this kit is one of the most cool ones that I've seen. I will go through her entire kit, some initial builds, Lightcone options, and team builds. So stick around and let's get started. Her basic attack is very simple. It is a single target quantum damage attack. Her skill is likewise very simple. It is a blast quantum attack. It will deal damage to a single target and then half damage to adjacent targets. At level 10, the scaling is 140% of her attack and then 70 to adjacent. Now, so far her kit is looking a little bit basic, but trust me, once we get to her talent, things are really going to shake up. Her ultimate definitely has some unique qualities. It's a single target attack that ignores weakness types and reduces toughness no matter the element the enemy is weak to. It also has the highest toughness damage out of any ultimate in the game currently at 120 points. This of course is not comparing it to something like Argenti's ultimate if it's a single target, because all of the bounce hits will just hit that single target. And so if the enemy is weakness broken by this attack, they will be entangled even though they aren't weak to quantum. Also, the more toughness that gets reduced, the higher the damage of this attack will be, up to 60% extra damage. However, it is unclear how much extra toughness damage you have to deal in order to reach that max damage bonus. You're most likely going to have to use some kind of buff in order to reach the extra 60% damage. This means that only in the SU or with Ron Mei will we have the potential to reach the maximum extra damage potential for this ultimate. At talent level 10, the damage scaling on this is 250% of her attack. So that's pretty strong, especially for a 4-star. Now we get into her talent, where things definitely start to shake up. When Xueyi reduces the toughness of enemies with attacks, she will accumulate karma stacks. And a note on this is that she must reduce toughness. If she deals less toughness than she's supposed to, then she's going to get less karma stacks. Also, if they are already weakness broken, then you're going to get no karma stacks. So the more toughness she reduces, then the more stacks she gets. You are going to gain 1 stack per 30 damage of toughness that you deal. So for a basic attack, without any buffs, you get 1 stack because it deals 30 points of toughness. With a skill, it does 60 to the target and 30 to adjacent, so if you reduce the toughness on 3 enemies completely, you'll get 4 stacks. Her ultimate deals 120 points of weakness break, so that means you'll get at least 4 stacks of karma if you happen to deal that much toughness. So that means they need to have that much toughness in order to deal that much. So perhaps against smaller type enemies, they don't have that much toughness, so you'll get less stacks. But against elite enemies, if they're at full toughness, you'll definitely be getting all 4 stacks. Now, this is where Ron Mei plays a huge role because she increases break efficiency. The skill now goes to 90 points of weakness break to the selected target and then 45 to adjacent. That means there's a lot of potential to gain a lot of stacks if you hit 3 targets that are full on. So at least 3 to the selected target, then at least an extra 1 for each adjacent. And then if you add the extra 15 that we're dealing, because you're dealing 45 points of weakness break, you can get up to 2, or at least you should be able to get up to 2 extra stacks of karma if you hit adjacent targets. So if I'm counting correctly, the potential for this should be 7 stacks of karma. If in fact that extra 15 points of weakness break spills over into each other, because you're only dealing 45 points of weakness break to each enemy. So it's unclear whether or not that 15 from each attack is going to combine into 1 stack. If not, then the potential for this is only 5 stacks of karma. The ultimate now goes to 180 points of weakness break. That means the full potential for this 6 stacks of karma. The maximum stacks that she has at E0 going to be 8 stacks. And so once you reach 8 stacks, she will unleash a follow-up attack that deals damage to enemies. The attack is a bounce type attack that deals quantum damage 3 times. The scaling for this at level 10 is 90% per attack, so 270% total damage. But it is a bounce type attack like I just mentioned, so it hits randomly. Also, when Xueyi's allies deal toughness damage with their attacks, Xueyi will gain 1 extra stack of karma, and you can only gain 1 stack of karma per attack. This means that if you hit multiple enemies with an AoE attack, you're still only gaining 1 stack of karma. However, if you do like an ultimate and then a skill, that's 2 stacks. Additionally, the follow-up attack does not add karma stacks, which kind of sucks, but regardless, it just makes Xueyi deal more damage more often. Also, this makes Xueyi a decent candidate to put with Topaz to increase her follow-up attack damage. Alright, now we go into her traces, which is really where all of her damage bonus comes from. Her first trace is that she will keep a tally of karma stacks that exceed the max limit up to 6 stacks, and so after the talent is triggered, she will gain the corresponding amount of tallied up karma stacks. It's definitely pretty easy to exceed that limit, especially say you're at 5 stacks and then you pop your ult against a full toughness barred enemy, then yeah, you're definitely going to exceed the amount of karma stacks. So it's nice to be able to have that overflow into the next follow-up attack. If the enemy's toughness is more than 50%, the ultimate deals 10% more damage. So that means her ultimate has a potential of 70% more damage if all of the cards are aligned. And now her final trace. This is the banger trace. Increases damage dealt by an amount equal to 100% of her break effect up to 240% break effect. This essentially means she can get an extra 240% damage bonus to all of her attacks. This is what makes Xueyi so unique and different and determines how we're going to build her. So that's what we're going to be talking about really soon. First, let's go ahead and move on to her minor traces. She gets 37.3% extra break effect. This helps us to reach that 240 break effect limit, which is nice. So this is essentially an extra 37.3% extra damage bonus. She gets 18% HP and 8% extra quantum damage boost. And so also with this much break effect that we're going to be building on Xueyi, her entanglement damage is going to be absolutely insane. And so in order to maximize her entanglement damage, you'll definitely want to consider getting her up all the way to level 80. And so as a 4-star, her Eidolons are a little bit more accessible to players that are going to be pulling a lot on the upcoming Ron May banner. And so let's go through her Eidolons. Her first one is that increases the damage dealt by her talent by 40%. Super solid, extra damage Eidolon. Her talent is a pretty core part of her kit as well. The next one is that her talent's follow-up attack deals toughness damage regardless of weakness type. So before it did not, unlike her ultimate. And it also heals 5% of her max HP. So sure, pretty nice for a solo sustain, not bad. Her next one is that when using her ult, break effect increases by 40%. So this is essentially an extra 40% damage. This buff is going to last for 2 turns. This also helps us to reach that 240% break effect threshold that we want in order to maximize her damage bonus. Her E6 is that the max stacks for karma decreases from 8 to 6, so now it's just a lot easier to unleash her talents follow-up attacks. Very, very nice for just more damage. Alright, now how should we build Xueyi? Should we be building crit rate or crit damage? Or should we just be going all in on break effect? Attack or speed? Quantum damage boost or attack percentage? Or even break effect or attack percentage on the link rope? Those are all questions that I hope to answer. So first off, we definitely want to try to build as much break effect as possible. But hitting that 240% is really difficult because we actually don't want to skimp out on our crit rate and crit damage either. So we need to balance the two. Also, since our kit has no natural sources of crit, whether you decide to go with a crit rate body or a crit damage body depends on your substats. And then whether you go with an attack percentage or a speed boot also depends on your team's setup. When it comes to quantum damage boost versus attack percentage on the orb, it actually turns out that attack percentage is almost always better in most situations. So as a general rule of thumb, for Xueyi, attack percentage is actually going to be better. And then between break effect or attack percentage on the link rope, break effect is definitely better in order to help us reach that 240 damage bonus, or at least get as close as we can to it. So how much break effect can we realistically build on Xueyi? Going through all of the potential sources of break effect we can get, we'll get 37.3 from her traces, 64.8 from the break effect link rope, a thief 4 set with 32%, the planar ornament set, Talia, Kingdom of Banetry, can give us an extra 36%. If we hit 145 speed, it'll put us at 169.3% break effect, which is equivalent to the same amount of damage bonus. So that's actually quite a bit if that's the build that we decide to go for. If you get E4 and a Ron May, you get an extra 60%, which brings us to 229.3% break effect. So we're 10% away from that maximum if we get all of those sources of break effect. And so now the only source of break effect that we aren't including here is subsets. Now I mentioned that the Thief 4 set gives us 32%, but it actually turns out that the Quantum set is actually going to be better for her. And so if you're able to get 32% break effect from substats on your Quantum set, then the Quantum set is definitely going to pull ahead. So if you're just starting out, the Thief 4 set is a really good starter, but then you definitely want to upgrade to the Quantum set when you can. In terms of Lightcones, the Herda Shop Lightcone on the Fall of Aeon is almost always better in terms of all of our other options, even in terms of average damage. So Under the Blue Sky is a Lightcone that gives us extra crit rate upon defeating an enemy, but still in terms of average damage, On the Fall of an Aeon pulls ahead. So really, I wouldn't recommend using anything else because On the Fall of an Aeon is easily obtainable just by completing the SU and also super impositioning it to 5. Whereas with Under the Blue Sky, you got to get lucky in the gacha. Now, for teammates, we definitely want characters that boost our speed and attack. We also want teammates that can deal toughness damage every turn so that we can maximize the efficiency of getting her karma stacks. Remember that each teammate can give her 1 stack per attack that they do. But also at the same time, we don't want to be dealing too much toughness to our desirable targets because Xueyi is the one that can get multiple karma stacks if she's the one that's dealing the toughness damage. So if Xueyi can get more turns, that's definitely the most efficient way to gain karma stacks. So teammates that boost speed and break effect efficiency obviously is going to be Ron Mei. And then for speed, you got Hanya and you have Asta. Asta also boosts attack, which is really good for Xueyi because she already gets so much damage bonus. In order to maximize damage, right, you want to balance damage bonus and attack percentage. And also since Xueyi lacks a little bit of the crit, Wu Xuan is a pretty good sustain because she increases crit rate. This allows you to focus a little bit more on the crit damage side of your substats and maybe even go with a crit damage body instead of a crit rate body. But you definitely want to run some kind of support character that boosts speed so that you can reach that 145 speed break point so that you can get an extra 36% break effect from the Talia Planar Ornament set. Running attack boots over speed boots is definitely going to increase your damage output. Then if you can hit certain break points with speed buffers instead, then you can still achieve the same result as using speed boots. You can also consider a character like Bronya to advance forward actions and also increase her crit damage. But we're already running out of room on our team because Ron Mei definitely looks like one of her best supports. Wu Xuan definitely looks like one of her best sustained characters. And then it's going to be a toss-up between Anya, Asta, or Bronya potentially. Thanks for watching, and in the meantime, definitely go ahead and watch my weakness break so you can better understand how that entanglement damage is doing so much damage, as well as keep an eye out for my doctor ratio analysis coming soon.